Now, before I really kind of get into the details, what I really want to cover today is what is SessionWizard, so you guys understand exactly what I'm referring to whenever I say SessionWizard. The other thing I really want to get into is where the information is, how you can get to it, how you can utilize it, and the final thing I want to get into more in this one than I do the EventWizard is how you guys can kind of use SessionWizard for what you guys are doing. And I guess first to get into, before I really get into anything, is let me just show you the resources that you guys have in order to understand a little bit more what I have. Much like with all the different product manuals I have out there, you will find that located right here. When I open up, I'll open up the BrainAvatar software just so you guys can see it. You are going to notice it right here on the product manuals button. You're going to click that. BrainAvatar documentation, and this file is called SessionWizard. So this is the documentation. This is your screen, different options for it, loading a protocol or loading a SessionWizard file or loading a protocol that has a preloaded SessionWizard file, loading a SessionWizard file into one, as well as the final things, and this is the most important part, the data dictionary for the SessionWizard, as well as how to build your own, which I'm going to basically kind of run through today to get through it. Now, before I get into building it, what I want from anybody who is ever going to work with the SessionWizard system, and please note SessionWizard, if you have an Atlantis, is an extra purchase. It comes complimentary if you own the MiniQ system, or you can purchase it as a standalone program. It does also come complimentary for the Discovery software. But I do want to say some other resources we have, and I forgot to go over this in the EventWizard webinar, but the knowledge base is great for things like that. So for example, if I type in SessionWizard, and I hit go, you're going to notice the very first one right here is SessionWizard troubleshooting. And this is going to go over some of the different things that may or may not occur in the system, some ways that you can kind of figure out what might be going on, and some different things that could go wrong. So now that you kind of know some of the different resources, the final resource that I'm going to want anybody who works with any type of SessionWizard file go is to download a program called Notepad++. Now what this is it's a advanced Notepad program that allows you to edit, create, and save the SessionWizard file systems. And we do have it built into the BrainMaster 3.0 Discovery and BrainAvatar software to be able to edit them through there. But I know for me personally, I edit outside of the software, and it's really good for me to edit outside and then run it and then edit outside. So that's why I'm going to recommend anybody who does this downloads Notepad++. You can find it by going to download.com, and then in the search download, you type in Notepad++. And when I hit enter, it's going to bring up a couple different options, but the only one you want is the very first one. It's right here, Notepad++. The version you have right now should probably be 6.2.2. I actually don't have that version. I have a much older version. But this is where you download it, and the program, so close this and close this, looks like this. And for those of you who have a MiniQ, this file probably looks very similar right here that you're used to. This is just a 2-channel MiniQ session that does 8 positions. So I want to break this down and how it works exactly. Basically, as you can see, the period in here controls how long this session is going to run. So the thing about the SessionWizard is it overrides everything that you might have said in your session already. So if I open up the 3.0 software, and I go to my viewer change settings, and I go to session control, right now I say a run length of 120 seconds, and I say I'm doing 13 runs. Off the top of my head, that's 26 minutes. So that's what I'm saying right here. But the Session Wizard, by saying use Session Wizard, I'm saying forego all of that. What I'm worried about is how long I'm running here. So this session right here is going to run a total of 8 minutes as opposed to that 26 minutes. So it's very important to know how long you're running because you're dictating it through the Session Wizard file. And what the Session Wizard also says here is that which sites we're going to be using. So it's going to tell the training channels exactly which sites to go to. And also in this one, it's going to pop a message every time it jumps. So what I'm going to do real quick, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to Viewer Change Settings. I'm going to go to my Session Control. As we can see, I have a check mark and use Session Wizard to control session. I'm going to click Session Wizard. I'm going to choose that file we were just looking at, which is right here, Miniq 2x8, 60 seconds runs. I'm going to hit OK to confirm that's what I want. I hit OK. I hit Use These Settings. I hit Run the next session. And I hit Go. Now the first message you're going to see is it's going to tell you how many periods you're going to be doing, how many pauses are going to be involved in it, and the total time of the session. So right there it's going to tell you exactly what I was just talking about. We hit OK. That's our first message right there. So it's going to tell you what to do. And you can do that. You can have it not tell you what to do or what you want it to do. When we hit OK, of course we got our session running, our simulation running. You got your FC and your CZ. And it's just going to go. So this is the basic of a very, very, very basic Session Wizard file. Even though we might call them a Miniq file, it's actually a Session Wizard file. I'm going to close this for now. Go up here. I'm going to open up my Notepad++ again. You know what, I'm going to open it the easier way. Now, when working with Session Wizard files, it's important to know where they should be saved so that you can call them and have access to them as quick as possible. For the BrainMaster 3.0 software, it's going to be located from the C drive, BrainM.20, Control, and then in the capital S, capital W for software, or Session Wizard. So this is where those Miniq or those MQT files are going to be stored so that they can have access and be able to use them. In your discovery software, it's in the folder SWD for Session Wizard for Discovery. So if I double click, that is where my Miniq files are here. For the BrainAvatar software, it's a completely different location. I go to my C drive. I go to Program Data, I go to BrainMaster, I go to Control, and then I go to SWD. This is where they are located for this. If you don't have a .mqt file saved in any of these directories and you are trying to use it, you will not be able to use it. It's just that simple. The MQT files have to be located here. That is where the software knows they are. So it is very important to know that. But to get in a little bit more, I do want to cover more on the Session Wizard systems. And I'm going to, so if you want to edit any of the Session Wizard files after you install Notepad++, you find the file you want to edit. If you right-click on it, it's going to bring you up to this little menu. One of the new menus or one of the new options that's going to be on here is Edit with Notepad++. So as you can see, I have a bunch of different files open up here. And the reason I have them all open is because I want to go over some of the different features and functions that Session Wizard can do, go over how they're getting controlled right here with you guys, and some of the different things you can do to them to possibly make them easier for you. The first one I do want to cover is this one called Photic Wizard 1. And the reason I really want to cover this is because a couple of you guys out there might have purchased from ISNR or might have interest in purchasing the MicroTesla RTMS system. Now, the way that that works currently is actually through the photic output of the Atlantis system, and coming soon is going to actually work through the audio output of the Atlantis system. And it works right off the bat in autonomous mode, where basically you plug it in and it's going to constantly flash at a rate of, I believe it starts off at about 12 hertz, but it is actually off of that EEG controlled, so it can vary on how the EEG looks. But with the PC controlled, you can actually change it. You can do sweeps at different hertz frequencies. You can have it do a random hertz frequencies. You can do many different things. But right off the bat, I want to actually start with the sweep system. And that's what you're looking at right here. So this one's called SessionWizard 1. And basically what it's going to start with first, and what you're always going to start with as any SessionWizard file, is there's a do at the beginning and a done at the end. Anything that happens in between this dictates how long and how many runs and how many sessions the file goes for. So everything that's in here says exactly what's going to be going on. So as you can see, it's a very, very simple process when it comes to photic. You got your photic rate, which says how quickly it's going to be flashing or how quickly it's going to be going. You got photic enable. Now what photic enable means is it on or is it off? If photic enable is a 1, it's on. If photic enable is a 0, it's off. Now feedback is a little different. Feedback is kind of a powerful variable. I'm going to show you some ways to use feedback later. So I'm going to just say feedback basically means you can turn things on and off with it. Use it as a variable. And then period is 2 seconds. So here we're starting at a rate of 10 hertz. We're saying that we're enabling it, and we're going to do it for 2 seconds. Then we're going to go to a photic rate of 4 hertz. We're saying it's on. We're doing it for 2 seconds. Then 12, so on and so forth. As you can see, we're jumping between the rates here. Now, this is one way of doing it. The problem with doing it this way, let's say you wanted to change things. Well, you're going to have to go through, and let's just say I wanted 24 to be up here, so now I got to copy, I'm going to have to cut this, Control X, and I want to start it up here, so I hit enter, and I hit this. Okay, that's not too difficult, but it's one of the things you're going to have to do. Another option, and this is what I do recommend for a lot of people who are going to be doing things like this that are going to be different cycles and all that, is to create a cycle. Now to create a cycle, you actually go outside of the do and done area. This is kind of like areas that you can declare special cycles. So I am going to start by typing beg cycle 1. That just means exactly that. I'm creating a cycle 1. And in cycle 1, I'm going to type photic rate 24, photic enable 1, feedback 1, period 2, end cycle 1. Okay, so now what I've done here is I've now created a cycle that is at the photic rate of 24 hertz, that says that photic is on, has feedback of 1, and goes for 2 seconds. Now what does this mean to you? Well, this means I can technically delete this, and at this point in time I can type do cycle 1. The benefits of doing it this way. Well, cycles you can basically create to do more than just one rate or one thing. Let's say you wanted to do, and let's just kind of set that up right now, beg cycle 2. And I'm going to do a photic rate of 10. I'm going to do photic enable 1. Feedback 1, period 2. Then I'm going to go photic rate 11, photic enable 1, feedback 1, period, And see, look at that. You always got to make sure you got the right context there. Feedback 2 and cycle 2. Okay, so now I've created a cycle that may have more than one period of different rates that you're going at. So let's just say I delete this now. I go do cycle 2. So now when it does cycle 1, it's going to be at a photic rate of 24. It's going to be on. Feedback is 1. It's going to go for 2 seconds. Then after that 2 seconds, we're now going to go to do cycle 2, which is going to go for 10 at 10 hertz with it on for 2 seconds. Then right after that, it's going to go to the rate of 11 hertz, and it's going to be on. Feedback and 2 seconds. So you can make personalized cycles. And let's just say you wanted to do that again. It's just a way of kind of saving yourself some time. That way you aren't constantly typing the same thing over and over. Or let's just say you wanted to mix up going at different rates, or you wanted to switch up. You didn't want to keep doing the same thing, and you wanted to basically make your own personalized thing. That's what a cycle allows you to do. So that's why cycles are very, very nice. I recommend using them for things like micro Tesla or photic, or anything that you're basically going to be switching in and out of. And when it comes down to photic and micro Tesla, you're going to be probably running most of these for 20-minute sessions, and you're going to be doing them at very small second rates. So because of that, you want something that's going to be a nice, quick, easy way of putting it in. I can tell you that in a future thing, you're going to be able to say, do this 15 times, but that's the future. That's not right now, and right now you want to basically save yourself as much time as possible. So, I've done some changes. I want to say I want to use this going forward. So what you do is you click the File button, you click Save As. Once again, we are going to go to our desktop. We are going to go to our computer. We are going to go to the C drive. We're going to go to BrainM.20, Control, SW for the 3.0 software, SWD for the Discovery software, and once again, Computer, C drive, Program Data, BrainMaster, Control, SWD for the BrainAvatar software. And what I will do is I will name this Photic Wizard -BMR for BrainMaster. Now, if I save it right now, it's going to save as a TXT file or a text file. If you save it right off the bat as a TXT file, you will not be able to use it in the SessionWizard. The SessionWizard is designed to pull off the .mqt, also known as a mini-q template. So in order to save it, make sure you type in .mqt. Now, that is the biggest reason right there that I want you guys to download Notepad++. Microsoft has a built-in Notepad program. The only problem is you cannot save special file formats like that. That's where Notepad++ comes in handy, and the other thing that comes handy about it is I can have multiple ones open up in the same screen. That's why I personally like it also. So, when it comes down to photic rates and different things that are jumping, this is how I recommend you doing, and this is how you can do some of those features. Next, one thing I want to run into is actually another special kind of protocol that was built. And it was built for actually Dr. Paul Swingle and doing his 5-point assessment. As anybody knows, our Atlantis systems are only capable for up to 4 channels. So because of that, we actually utilize SessionWizard to basically do all the 5-point assessment and put in some of the different features into it by using SessionWizard to dictate where we're going to and how long we're going to it. Another person, Gary Ames, actually designed a little Excel sheet that will help basically also take this information and kind of be a deducer with it. He worked with Dr. Swingle. He went over all the different things and what certain readings and all that mean out of it. But basically, it does the same thing. I'm going to go over a couple points of it so that you guys understand kind of what's going on with it and why it's doing it. So I will start at the beginning, and you're going to notice one thing. Message 1 or MESG 1, and you're also going to sometimes see MESG 2. Now, what that means, message 1 is going to display before this or before the next one in line runs. Message 2 is going to display after a certain period is run. So message 1 right here is going to display right at the beginning, and it's going to tell you place sensor on CZ eyes opened. After 15 seconds with 0 feedback, we're going to see this right here, MESG2, done with eyes closed for now. What this is going to do is it's going to display this message after this 15 seconds right here. So you're going to see the message, and then you're going to see another message, place sensor on CZ eyes closed. So then you're going to run that for 15 seconds, and then after that 15 seconds, you're going to see place sensor on CZ eyes opened. Now, not too much as far as anything drastic in this file right here. There is one thing that you're going to be noticing as a running trend, and that's feedback 0. Feedback 0, feedback 0, feedback 0. Until this one right here where it says place sensor on CZ, turn on harmonic test. Feedback 1. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to get in a little bit more detail on what feedback is and how are some of the ways you're going to use it. I'm going to show you a very easy way, which is in this protocol right here, and I'm going to show you a very, very advanced way, which is going to be in the next MQT file. So, feedback gets turned on in this. Now, what does that mean? Well, what that means is really difficult for me to just explain. Let me show you. So we're going to minimize this. I'm going to close this screen right here. I'm going to go to folder selection. I'm going to pull up right here Swingle assessment. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to go to viewer change settings. I'm going to go to EventWizard. And I'm going to see this very first event right here that says check equation x equals feedback. When x equals feedback is greater than 0, I want to play a wave sound. So, what we have done in this file right here is we are now calling feedback from the SessionWizard file. And we are now saying when feedback is greater than 0 or when feedback equals 1, I want you to do something. So that's exactly what this is going to do right here. It's easy for me to tell you that's what it's going to do. Let's see it in action. So I'm going to hit use now. I'm going to hit OK. We're going to go to session control. We have SessionWizard to control session checked. We are on our Swingle assessment template. We're going to hit OK. We are going to hit OK, use these settings, run the next session, and go. So as you can see, we have 30 periods, 18 pauses, and 360 seconds total. We hit OK. First message right here, place sensor on CZI is open. Our simulation is running. Okay. Now, we're going to be paying attention to feedback right now. We know right off the bat that it's going to be a little bit of time. We know the first 15 seconds is going to go by. Another 15 seconds is going to go by. And then we should see another message actually. So there's our done with eyes open for now message that we were talking about. And now we're going to place our sensors on CZ eyes closed. All right, we got another message that popped up that we told the system to send. All right, we are right now on our place sensors as the cognitive challenge. We're going to be doing this for another 30 seconds. And actually another 45 seconds because this is a message 2, which means it's going to be after this session right here. Actually, Dr. Venter, I believe I did create, and I'm going to just kind of leave this paused for right now because Dr. Venter asked a very good question. Can you show us how to change the Swingle assessment for use with the Discovery without having to move the electrode? It already is. That's the nice thing about the Discovery versus the Atlantis. Because it's an acquisition and then training system, it's already set up to acquire all 5 sites. The only thing you kind of have to do is hit OK through all the different messages because it's still collecting the data each individually like that. Now, we are coming up with a brand new system that's going to basically be able to do all 5 of them at the same time and pull out that so we can put it in something else. That is going to be in the BrainAvatar software. One of the reasons that I'm not showing you with the BrainAvatar software right now. But yeah, no, the beauty thing about the Discovery is it already does more than 4 channels. So because of that, you kind of just have to go through these little pop-ups right here, but you don't have to switch off sites or anything like that. So now we are done with our cognitive challenge for now. We're going to hit OK, and we already know we got another message that's going to pop up that says on eyes open. Now, 15 seconds, we are going to see what happens when feedback is a 1. There it is. You see how now value A is a 1 as opposed to a 0 like it was this entire time. Value A has now been turned on. So now we're going to play our wave sound. One of the things we built in for the Swingle assessment is it basically turned one of our basic wave sounds actually into his Omni, I believe. So now it's going to be playing actually for that full 15 seconds. Now, another thing I want you guys to notice right now is that that 1 became a 0 virtually right after. Now, again, you got to ask, why is that? And I'm going to go through another feature that is actually a very important thing that helps let you know what to do next. So if I hit yes, it's already 0. I'm going to stop right there because you guys got the basic understanding of how that works. And does anybody actually have any questions? Beth, it's actually, if you use the Swingle or the Swingle assessment installer that is located on our knowledge base, which let's get in here. I'll go right here. I'll do a search for Swingle. Swingle assessment revised. This gives you all the instructions on how to turn harmonic sound, all that. Basically, all you got to do is it actually converts one of our wave files into his Omni sound. And it holds it for the time that you need it to be held for. The only thing that you really don't have any control of, and we've tried playing around with it, we really couldn't get it at this point in time, is that when you do the louder, you're going to have to turn up your speakers. That's all. That's why we put the message in for louder. But yeah, you can pull it up from right here. We have it attached right here, along with a lot of different things. Here it is. Here's the one for the Discovery. Here's the one for the 3.0 software. Here's using the Swingle Clinical Q. That's from Gary Ames. That is his XLSM file that he has to do that, as well as the 3.0 trainee folder documentation so that you can learn how to basically bring in files like that. But this right here tells you how to change the click.wave for its harmonic test. All right. Any other questions on the things going forward so far? Okay. So now that we got some basic information on that, what I want to show you guys in this session, or in this folder in particular, how to make feedback. Gary Ames, his file is basically a assessment of the clinical queue. It just basically takes the information and the data that's been collected from the clinical queue or from the Swingle assessment, and it basically gives you some clinical insight as to kind of what might be going on with it. I know that another person who's great to ask on that is Gary Ames, and he probably can help out a lot with that. Another person is Yvette Bledsoe, who helped out with a couple of different things, but it's just a partial clinical assessment on it. Okay, well, there you go. Nigel Warner says it best. Very detailed, download it. Any other questions on that? Okay, well, I'm going to move on. One of the things I want to cover now is feedback. We saw that for a very brief split, almost microcosm of a second. Now you ask yourself, why is that? Well, the reason that is because actually I do explain in my help for the Session Wizard is that duty might not be turned on. Now, what duty is basically a special variable that says how long certain things are held for. One of those being feedback. So what I'm going to do, just so we can actually move a little bit quicker, we aren't watching about 2 minutes of just staring at a screen, I am going to go to the second one right here. I'm going to stick with the first one. I'm going to type feedback 1, and I'm going to type duty 50. I am going to type save, and I'm also going to go File, Save As, Desktop, Computer, C Drive, BrainM.20, Control, SW for SessionWizard, and I'm going to tape this, save this here as Swingle Assessment. Save. Up. And if anybody knows what I did wrong right there, I did not save it as a .mqt file. I saved it as a text, which means I would not be able to use it. But I'm going to type save as again, and this time I'm going to type .mqt. So now we can tell right up here that I am saved as an MQT file. I'm going to go back to my BrainMaster 3.4 software, which I should update. I know I'm going to get yelled at by you guys because I tell you guys to update all the time, and I'm running 3.4 right now. SessionWizard. Use SessionWizard to control. Click the SessionWizard button. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find my Swingle assessment. I'm going to click it. I'm going to reload it. The reason I'm reloading it is because I made changes. When you make changes and you don't load it in, it's not going to pick up on those changes. It's just going to play it as whatever it was before. So you always need to make sure you reload that .mqt file into your protocol, or it's going to always act the exact same way. I'm going to get a phone call, and we're going to have to work through it, and we'll get through it. But always, as a heads up, make sure you reload the .mqt file. So I'm going to hit run the next session. I'm going to hit go. We didn't change anything about the number of periods, the number of pauses, or how long it's going to be. We hit OK, and we see our message. So we got our simulation is running. We're going to notice that now feedback is on. Now when I hit OK, make sure watch for it about 7 or 8 seconds. You're going to see that feedback change to 0. Now, why is that? The reason that that is, and let me stop right now, is because the duty is like a percentage. So if I have a duty of 50, I want feedback to be on. I want that duty cycle of feedback to be 50% of the time. So for that 50%, feedback is going to equal 1. Now, if I change it to 100, save, go back here, viewer change settings, session control, SessionWizard, Swingle assessment, okay, okay, use these settings, run the next session, and hit go. Once again, we're going to see right here, 30, 18, 360. None of that's changed. Play sensor size open. Nothing's changed. Simulation is running. We know our feedback is pumping out. Now we're going to watch this clock and see it turn to 15 seconds or 5:45. That's when we're going to see feedback to get turned off. All right, there it is. So as you can see, duty can control how long a specific item is held. If it's on for a brief second, it's only going to work for a brief second if you don't have duty in there. If you have duty in there and you have it for example, 25 seconds or 25%. If you're running for, let me close that. If you're running for 25, if you have a duty of 25 and you're running for 15 seconds, that's going to probably be about 4 or 3 seconds. You know, so that's how that system kind of works right there. Now, and the reason I said it's very powerful because for this last little bit of time, I want to cover some of the things you can do. Now, this right here is a kind of special protocol that we had written, and I'm going to show this to you and explain kind of exactly what's going on with this right now. This file, we have a lot of things going on in it. And I'm going to explain the basics of it so that you understand what this is designed for and what you guys can do with SessionWizard. This SessionWizard file we called the frequency jump. The reason we call that is because this designed with a specific protocol and the event wizard is going to train the bands at different levels. It's going to start off as one band at a 15 to 19 hertz range, another band at 16 to 20 hertz range, and it's going to keep jumping them up 2 hertz. So after the first one, they're both going to be running at 18 hertz and 22 hertz. Then they're going to go to 20 and 24 hertz, 22 and 26 hertz, 24 and 28 hertz, 26 and 30 hertz, so on and so forth throughout this entire thing until we're down here where we're going back to 16 and 20 and 15 and 19. For me to basically go into more detail, it's easy for me to explain it. It's better for me to show you. I'm going to go to folder selection, and I'm going to choose my test file and double click it. And I'm going to go to viewer change settings. And I'm going to go to the EventWizard, and I'm going to show you how some of these things were done. And it is I believe these 2 files right here. Now this is where the feedback is being called. And this is the feedback minus the duty minus 100. So this is basically how we got the 2 different bands at a different level at different times. Net offset I think is just nothing. Yeah, that's just 100 minus duty. Yep, and that's just that. And pardon me, I gotta always go through this and figure out where we have these because we wanted to make this all nice and neat for everyone. Alright, here we go. So this is where we are changing where we're at. So this is the band, number 2, and the range is feedback, and then feedback plus 4. So whatever feedback is right here is going to be the low, and whatever feedback plus 4 is going to be the high. And I think this is the exact same thing. We are looking at band 1. Now this one is feedback minus 100 minus duty, and then feedback minus 100 minus duty plus 4. Now, why do we do that? Because that is how this right here gets 2 different bands to be at different levels. We're both using the same variable of feedback, so they both should be 16 and 20. But by having the duty minus 100, or I forget, was it 100 minus duty or duty 100 minus duty, By subtracting 99, we now have a value of 1 that we're subtracting off of that 16 and off of that 20. Once again, I do like to show more than I do talk about all of it, but we're going to run it in simulation so you can see it in action. So let me launch that. Let me get this over here so that we can follow along. All right, as you can see, there's 8 periods in this one, 8 pauses, 480 seconds. Even though I don't think there are any pauses, but that's okay. It says that just because we get to a period of time breaking. So we're starting off. You're seeing nothing really started off right here. So let's hit OK. Did I not load this? No. We might not have loaded this properly. So let me exit. Let me go to Viewer Change Settings. Let me check all my work. Session Control, Session Wizard, Frequency Jump. Hit OK. Hit OK. Use these settings. Run the next session and go. There we go. 13 periods now. Number of pauses, only 1. Total time, 260 seconds. We're going to place the electrodes right here. We're going to hit OK. Now we got our simulation is running. Now we got our 16 right here. We got our offset that we're doing, and we can see our values right here are 15 to 19 and 16 to 20. And I'm going to hit OK. So this is how it works. Now we're going to look at the time, and we're going to wait till we get to 20 seconds. Watch it change. 18, 22, 18, 22. So now we've changed our band length. Or range, I should say, sorry. Now we're going to wait about 2 more seconds. There it is, 20 to 24. Now a couple of these other ones are basically also kind of giving you points and see how each area is doing and all that. And that's what it's kind of designed on. I wanted to show you guys this more to show it to you. Well, they can use whatever they want on that. I mean, you can still use the basic feedback on it. We have it activated so it works with multimedia player and flash player and anything like that. I mean, that's what they're working on. It would be whatever you want your client to be working with. But I was showing you more on this file right here to show you that with SessionWizard and EventWizard, you guys are basically limitless on what you can honestly do with it. It depends on what you want to do with it and how you want to work with it and just how much you kind of get on it. I want you guys to know that it's a very powerful system. It's a little confusing, I'm not going to lie. I understand. I've heard some of you guys say you guys aren't engineers and you guys aren't programmers, and I understand that. That's why we're here to kind of help out a little bit on that. I wrote all of the different files for EventWizard and SessionWizard as far as the manuals. I'm teaching you guys this right now, so if you guys do have any questions, of course, I'll always be here to help you out with that. So, I mean, that's the final thing you guys have in your final step for using, SessionWizard or EventWizard as far as how you guys can kind of go a little bit further with these steps. So I actually have finished up a little bit earlier than what I normally do. So, of course, at this point in time, the intensity is... I haven't gotten a definitive answer on that one. I haven't seen the intensity really do anything. The built-in features were supposed to be implemented on the Photic software, and from what I saw, I don't believe it's actually fully implemented at this very moment. I know that we've put it on some different things, but I haven't been able to actually oh, you want to see the rest of it? Okay, well, I'll keep running. I apologize. I have no problem letting it run through while I'm kind of answering different questions. We'll start from square one, but it's fine to do it the exact same way. Now, what's nice about writing different MQT files for a protocol that you have built up like this, and you might have it doing jumping like that, and you might want to do it a different way, is you can have different mini-Q files that load in for this particular protocol. So you can maybe have one be a range of, like, let's just say your low and your high is 8. Well, maybe one is your low and your high, or maybe you're changing at different levels. Maybe you're going for different lengths. You can make a mini-Q session file for each of them. Okay, no problem. I will show the SessionWizard file again. Did I close it? I might have. There you go. And so one of the things I might do for a future MQT SessionWizard file is I might change the duty right here to 98, which means that my my reward my second one might be a little bit lower then. I think it's reward 2, or the reward too low would be 2 hertz lower then. Or maybe I mix it into one of the ones right here. You have the ability to customize specialized MQT files that get loaded into a single settings protocol. That way you now have changed the protocol without doing any work to it whatsoever. Now we are at 30 and 34. Now, does anybody have any questions on some of the different files or anything like that right now? There is actually on the knowledge base. Tom, at one point in time, I believe, created a basic mini-Q format that went to different 4-channel hubs, you know, C3, C4, P3, P4, some of the different ones, and would work for 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes, and would do the training based on, of course, your Z-score training. That is the thing about the SessionWizard, is that you can load some of these different things to almost any any different file ahead of time, training file, and it will pretty much do that. So most mini-Q files you can actually rewrite and you know, say how long you want to do it, and then just basically load it into a pre-existing Z-score PZOK or PZOK UL, whatever you use, and it will actually then train to the sites as you're jumping through them. Like I said, I believe on the knowledge base there is one that is already out there in existence. Let me close this down. Did anybody want to see that run again, or just before I close it or do anything? Okay, well, I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to open up my Internet Explorer browser right here. I'm going to type in, this is going to be a hard search right here. Yeah, it's going to take me probably forever to dig this out right here, but it is on the knowledge base. There are a couple files, and if you want any help or any recommendations on things like that, let me know. I mean, it's a really easy thing to do. You know, I would just take a pre-existing mini-Q file, and I would probably edit it with the amount of time you want to go to each hub, and then just probably change the locations to what you think is going to best fit what your needs. Okay, well, I guess if nobody does have any other questions or anything like that, once again, you can always email us. It's support@brainem.com. You can also give us a call, 440-232-6000, extension 211 for me, or 207 for Ashley. More than happy to help you out with any of your questions or your needs, guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and take care.